As science and technology progress, questions arise about the ethics and morality of certain medical issues. One such dilemma that has risen in the past 50 years is that of brain death. Doctors, scientists, ethicists, and religious leaders have argued, is brain death truly death? Let's start with the basics. What is brain death? Brain death is when the cerebrum, the cerebellum, and most importantly, the brainstem cease to function. Blood is no longer flowing to the brain. Without the use of respirators and ventilators, the person would be decomposing. Look at the brain on the left side of the picture. Blood can be seen flowing through it. On the right side, no blood is going into that brain at all, which would be the brain of a brain-dead person. Sometimes people confuse brain death with other conditions. Brain death isn't being in a coma, being in a vegetative state, or even having severe brain trauma. As long as the brainstem is still sending out electrical signals, the person is still living. Let's look at the case of Terri Schiavo from Florida in the late 90s and early 2000s. After suffering a massive heart attack which left her without oxygen for 2.5 hours, Terri was declared a vegetable. However, she could still open her eyes and move a little, something brain-dead people can't really do. The Florida courts, though, would eventually rule with her husband in saying that Terri was brain dead and said to remove her feeding tube. Terri would die almost 2 weeks later from starvation and dehydration. Science proves to us why brain death is death. Brain death is irreversible. Once you are at that point, there is no coming back from it. It cannot be healed, it cannot through therapy or other such things. Modern science has recently helped to extend the period of decomposition of people who are brain dead, with the inventions of the respirator and the ventilator. Even in ancient times, they knew that once a person's brain stopped working, they were dead. Those people were buried and left to decay. Parts of the brain that are vital to human survival no longer function. The Catholic Church's teachings on brain death are based on science. Theologians such as St. Augustine and Pope John Paul II both agreed that when the brain is no longer functioning, the soul has left the body. It is no longer necessary for the body to be sustained. Although the concept of brain death is widely accepted as a definition of death, there is still some opposition. The Quran, an Islamic teaching authority, states that brain death is not death. As long as the heart is beating, in their beliefs, the person is still alive. To take organs from a brain-dead person for the sake of donation, in Muslim belief, is the same thing as killing that person. In conclusion, brain death is, to most of the world, including the Catholic Church, death. Declaring brain death, however, should not be taken lightly or be done just for the purposes of organ donation. The criteria for brain death must be met. Thank you for your time.